Next video. In today's video I will show you how to do language translation as well as language detection using MLkit in React Native's new architecture without any third-party library. So first of all, I have created a default React Native project. Next, you have to enable the new architecture for it. So just go over here, and here you can see for Android you have to make this as true. So I will just search for new arc enabled and make this as true. And next I will go to iOS. It is in gradle.properties. Okay, and for iOS you have to run this command from your iOS directory of your project. After running this command you might face some issue. First is it could be something like this. To resolve this, you just have to run this inside the root of your React Native project and then again go back to iOS and try running this. If you face an issue like this, you might want to run this or this resolve this issue for my M1 Mac, or you might want to check the other answers as well. I also have a video on my channel regarding this issue. So yeah, if you want you can check out that as well. But once this command is successfully ran, you can just run yarn iOS or yarn Android and it will enable new architecture. And to confirm that, fabric::true should be printed inside your Metro bundler once you run the application. Now we will go to Turbo Native modules, and it tells us that we have to create this RTN calculator folder. Like as mentioned in the documentation, they have created this folder outside of your React Native project, but according to me it is incorrect. Like, you have to create this folder inside of your React Native project, otherwise you will face a lot of issue. So I have created a folder called RTN my language, and inside that create Android, iOS and JS folder. And inside JS you can create this file native my language.ts. Again, the naming is important. So here you can see they have created a JS folder and created a TypeScript file. So I have copied this file, and the only thing that has been changed is this file name over here. And I have added two methods. One is detect language, where we will pass the some kind of a string. It could be in any language, and the MLkit will detect that language. And second one is translate language, and we will pass some string and we will convert it from one language to another language. If you want, you can pass some from what language to what language you want to convert, that also you can pass it over here. But in our example, I have just converting it from English to German, which I will show you in few minutes. Next we have to create a package.json file. So I have created this package.json file, which is a sibling to your JS folder and not inside your JS folder. And I have copied everything which I get from the documentation. Only thing that has been changed is this name. This pod spec name has been changed, as well as this name has been changed, RTN my language spec, and this Java package name has been changed. Next you have to create a pod spec file. So I have created this RTN my language pod spec, and again I have copied this from the documentation. Only thing that has been changed is this h.name. Next, for Android, firstly go to the main Android folder, go to build.gradle and add this Kotlin version as well as this class path for Kotlin, because I want to use Kotlin and not Java. Next, go to app, build.gradle and add this apply plugin Kotlin Android, as well as you will have to add this implementation org Kotlin standard lib 1.6.21. Next, go to your Android folder, create build.gradle, and I have copy pasted everything from over here. The only thing that has been changed, I have added this apply plugin of Kotlin Android. I have added this namespace of RTN my language, added this Kotlin standard lib, as well as you will have to add these two dependencies as well. One is for language identification, the first one, and second one is for language translation. So what this MLkit does is that it basically it has a TensorFlow model which is extremely lightweight, and it does all the heavy lifting for you. Next, okay, so next what you have to do, you have to create this src main java com rtn my language, and for now you have to just create this file my language package.kt, and here you just have to return null. The reason being that we have not run code generation yet, so here you just return null for now. So I will revert it back. So we have created this as well. Again, I have copied this from the documentation. Now we have to run code generation. Here you can see that they are using double dot, but in our case it will be only a single dot because our folder is already inside the project. So go to app.tsx and you have to run this command yarn add /rtr my language inside the root of your React Native project. Next you have to do cd dot dot, that will move you outside of your React Native project, and you have to run this command. So this should be your main project name, this should be your project name, this should be your project name, this should be the folder name which you have created. So change it according to your need. So again this command has been copied from over here. The only thing that has been changed here, they have not added the my app before rtn calculator, because rtn calculator is already outside my app in the documentation's case, but we have to add it because we have to add it our project name over here, because our folder is inside the project React Native project. Next it creates a generated folder for us. So here you can see generated folder which is codegen for iOS. Now for iOS, inside the iOS folder this is empty because so here you can see they are telling us to create this header file and objective C++ file, but this is empty in my case because I need to add two pods to the pod file. So here go to pod file and you will have to add these two pods, Google MLkit language ID and translate. Now the reason I have not written code inside the iOS of RTN my language, because we need to access this pod files, right, and they are inside the main iOS directory. So how will you access it? That's why we have to create the header file and the objective C++ file inside the main iOS folder. So once you add this file, make sure you do not run pod install. You have to run this command, because pod install is for the old architecture. You have to run this exact command. This will run for the new architecture. Please do not run pod install. You have to run this entire command. This is for the new architecture. So it will include all the dependencies for this. Next, once you successfully run this command, go to so create this file rtn my language.h, and again I have copy pasted this from the documentation over here. Okay, the only thing that has been changed is this file name, this name, as well as we are including the MLkit dependency as well. Next go to rtm my language.mm, and again I have copy pasted this from the documentation, but you have to comment out this line, because this line is only applicable if you are writing this rtm my language.mm inside the iOS directory of rtm my language, but we are writing inside the main iOS directory. Also make sure once you create an objective C file via Xcode, change the extension to .mm. If you just keep it as .m, then again you will face a lot of issues. Okay, next what I have done, I have just literally copy pasted everything, and this is copied, only file name has been changed. This has been copied entire thing, but only file name has been changed, and here I have overridden the method detect language. Now I have commented out this code, like if you are curious, so from this method we are actually sending back the language code and not the actual language. So suppose it is Spanish, I am just sending es. If it is English, you will only get en. Like I was trying to send the actual language back, but I was facing some issue. I think the documentation isn't proper, like there are some issues with the MLkit documentation, but yeah, you can just refer to that MLkit documentation. If you are able to figure it out, then you might want to try this. But yeah, I was facing some issue, but I think language code is fine as well. Like you can easily map a language code to a particular language. You can have those kind of constants inside your main React Native project as well. So this is the thing, like this is the entire code which I have copied from documentation to detect the language. Only thing is we are passing the value which we are sending it from React Native side, and it automatically detects the language. And this is the code for translate language. Again, this has been overridden, and the entire code has been copy pasted from documentation. Here you can see that I am doing English to German translation. Okay, here you have to define from which language to which language you have to convert, but you can write any language whatever is your preference, or you can send it from React Native side, and depending on that change this language to make it more dynamic. Now one thing to notice is that once you, when you are doing translation for the first time, this will take a little time because it needs to download the TensorFlow model. So it might take a minute or two to do the translation for the first time, but once it is done for the first time, as long as you are using the same languages, it will the second time it would be quicker, second, third, fourth, fifth, and so on, it would be much quicker. So I have done doing it from English to German. So when I'm doing it the translation for the first time, it will take time because it needs to download the TensorFlow model. But once it is downloaded, then later on it would be much quicker. So here you can see it is downloading and all that code has been written. So same thing goes for Android as well. Okay, so just be little patient, otherwise you might be thinking that this is not working. This is an asynchronous call, so it takes a little time. So I think that's it for iOS. I don't think any changes in app delegate or app delegate.mm. So only changes is this pod h file file. Now we have already done this. Now for Android, you have to cd to your Android directory and run this command, main Android directory. Okay, we have already run this command, right? But if you want, you can try to run this command again, and then cd to Android and just run this .w. This will generate code gen for your Android folder. You can see this code gen inside npm node modules. Next, what you have to do is you have to go to Android src. Now in mylanguage.package.kt, instead of returning null, you can refactor it to like this. Okay, now you have to create another file, mylanguagemodule.kt, and again I have copy pasted this from documentation. Okay, only thing that has been changed, I have written the detect language method and copy pasted this from the documentation. And similarly, this is the code for translating from one language to another. Again, we are doing English to German translation, and we are downloading the model for the first time. Okay, so it will take time when you are translating for the first time, and later on it will be much quicker. If you change the language from English to Spanish, then again it will take some time to download the model for the first time translation, and later on it would be much quicker. And this is the companion object of RTN my language. Also, if you are curious how to do with Swift, like in my Flutter video, I have done this with Swift as well. It's just that React Native does not support Swift directly, that's why. And the MLkit documentation was available in both Objective-C++ and Swift. That's why I have decided to use Swift in React Native. Sorry, Objective-C in React Native and Swift in Flutter. Okay, so I think that should be it for Android as well. So we have done this file and done this file. Last, you have to run this command again. So just go to app.tsx, run this command again, and for iOS, cd to iOS and run this command again. Once that is done, go to app.tsx. To use it, you can have imported like this. I have created two button, and here in the first button you can see I'm passing some text in Spanish, and it will give you ES as the language code, which is the language code for Spanish. You can pass text in any language. Like, I know this is still English because I don't have a Spanish keyboard with me and I don't understand Spanish as well. Yeah, that's why. and here you can see that I am passing some English text and translating it to German. So yeah, that's it for today's video. Thank you for watching. Bye.